Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Well-Nourished Goddess. This is your hostess, Dr. Mary Pritchard, and I am so excited about today's guest. She is really one of the queens of self-love and self-care out there. She hosts her own telesummit called the Self-Love Revolution, which I have had the privilege of being a guest on twice now. Sonia Bueno de la Torre is here today. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, Mary. It's such a pleasure. I'm so looking forward to it.
Me too. We just have so much fun together. So I know that it's going to be just a fun-filled ride, and we'll probably laugh a lot, and it's all going to be fine.
It's going to be awesome.
Before we get started, as always, I like to presence us into this moment. So wherever you are, unless you're driving, I invite you to close your eyes, to put your hand on your heart if that resonates with you, and to just sink into where you are now. Feeling your body where it may meet the surface that you're sitting or lying on or standing on. I invite you to breathe in. And on this first exhale, just let go of anything that you might have been doing right before you clicked play. Inhale. And on this next exhale, I invite you to let go of any mental to-do listing or internal chatter that might be happening in your mind. Anything that would get in the way of you benefiting from Sonia's wonderful wisdom. Just let it go. And one more breath in. And I invite you to feel where you are. Just be in your body. Be in this moment. Be here with us on today's session of the Well-Nourished Goddess, and let everything else go. When you're ready, open your eyes. Oh, I needed that.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. I always love to start this way.
I do too, because, we get in the busyness of our day-to-day lives, and even though Sonia and I are coaches and we know these skills, sometimes we don't remember to do them, and we're going to talk about that some today. So before we dive in, I would love to introduce you to our guest for the day. Sonia Bueno de la Torre helps women all over the world to really fully love and accept themselves and create the life they truly desire. And who doesn't want that? We all have these dreams and desires, right?
Yeah.
She's a personal coach. She's an energy healer. She's a speaker, and she's a meditation teacher. Sonia is from Spanish descent, but was born and raised in Germany. Before her work as an energy coach, she was certified as a fitness instructor and was the co-owner of 2 highly successful fitness clubs in Germany. Her extensive body and health experience combined with her energy training makes her an effective and powerful high-level coach for mind, body, and spirit. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you so much. I was so beautiful how you introduced me. And even though I grew up in Germany, I live now in the beautiful Turks and Caicos Islands. And I feel like, the outside always reflects the transformation inside. So I'm super, super grateful to be here.
Oh, so glad to have you. And I'm super jealous of where you're living.
Huh? I couldn't bear the cold anymore. It's not for me.
Oh, I can't blame you. I can't blame you at all. So, Sonia, I want to start off with allowing our audience to get to know you a little bit better. So, would you share with us a time in your life, and if you're like me, there's probably more than one, but a time in your life when you realized you actually needed to put yourself first, and that self-love and self-care were not just important, but really critical?
Yeah, and you said it, there were many times, especially in the past, but let me go really back to how I used to feel when I was young. And I started to feel, well, to be honest, even growing up already, I felt always kind of like I'm different, I don't belong, or I don't fit, something is wrong with me. And when I was growing up as a young girl, with 14, I already was on my first diet because I thought I was fat and I was ugly. And that was only, that kept continuing. I became older, but I had this nagging feeling of I'm not good enough. I was highly depressed. I hated myself. Like self-love was not even a concept. And there were times in my life that I felt so much pain and so much shame and disconnect that I had times that I actually really thought of taking my life away. And I'm sharing this also because that's really where I come from. And I live now a completely different life. And I remember the day when there were many moments in my life, but the biggest moment where I felt like, okay, I really need to change something, or I really want to do something. It's about 20 years ago. I was 26. I was in Thailand with my boyfriend at the time. And I shared this story because it was so profound. We were on vacation on this beautiful island, sand, beach, palm trees, and he was walking somewhere. There was no one else. And I was sitting there in my bathing suit, sitting there by myself, looking at the ocean. I thought this should be the most romantic and beautiful day in my life. And to be honest, the only thing I was feeling was how bad I was feeling about myself. And in that moment, Mary, I made a decision to do whatever it takes to love myself, because I didn't love myself. I didn't even believe it would ever be possible for me. I didn't even have the concept that it's something doable, but I knew either I love myself or I die. And I also made a commitment to not go on vacation until I do. And I didn't go on vacation for a while.
Wow.
But that was my commitment. And I'm sharing this with you because that started the journey. It took time. It didn't happen overnight, but I was really determined to make that happen for me. And for years still, when I was young, back then it's like, it was better, but it took a time. And through the inner work, through the transformation, and really learning how to love myself, take care of myself, nurture myself, I became who I am today. And I love my life and I love myself. And it doesn't mean my life is perfect all the time, even I think life not being perfect is actually perfect. And I'm also sharing this with you because anyone who listens who is in a place is like, oh, that's not possible for me. If I can come from a place of total depression, wanting to die, to living the life that I live now, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So that's just one piece of my story.
So for the women who are watching this and going, yes, that's me. That's where I am right now. I don't love myself. I'm in the pit of depression, anger, anxiety, pick an emotional state where you really feel like I can't go any lower. Like I've kind of hit the bottom of the barrel here. Walk us through how, because I'm guessing you had no clue. You knew you wanted to improve your relationship with yourself, but you didn't know how. You didn't even know where to start. So walk us through the early stages of your journey and some of the things that you tried to figure out who you were and how you could love yourself and what that even meant.
Yeah. Oh God, that's a lot looking back, but it's really good to go. I think number one is really to make that decision first. Like that decision and that commitment without knowing yet. Because then it's really things appear or you look for it, like as long as you don't make that decision or commitment, it's really difficult to actually get moving in any way. And for me, that meant also just to look out for things. One of the things that I started to do back in the days was I worked with a therapist. She was a shiatsu therapist. And she did body work, but she was also more a therapist and helped me also with the emotions and release certain things. So the one thing that I did pretty soon after deciding that is to find help, because I knew I could not do it myself, period. I was not able to do it myself. And it was not always easy, and to invest in yourself is sometimes scary, especially when you don't have the money. However, that was the most important piece. So I started with that, and then I did a course called Selflove, my very first seminar that I participated in. Oh my God, I was so young, and it was self-love. And from there, I read some books, I took more sessions. And the biggest transformation for me was when I found that type of energy work that I've been doing now for over 16 years that really shifted so much in me, because it was about, for me, to peel off the layers that I thought that's who I am. And I didn't know who I was. Had no idea, who am I? I was just a accumulation of emotions, beliefs, shame, and all of that, insecurities. So peeling off the layers step by step, layer by layer, and being very committed to inner work is what brought me to where I'm at. And I'm always very transparent, Mary. Really deep transformation, and I think you're similar, it's like does not happen overnight, and it's not just an easy 5-step system and then you're good. It's a journey. It's a life journey.
And I'm glad that you shared that. And I want to come back to the energy work piece here in a minute, because I know that's a large part of what you do. But for women who are listening to this and watching us have this conversation, when I started on my healing journey, sometimes I felt, and I like that you're talking about it as a process, because sometimes I really felt like, oh, I just made a giant leap forward. Oh, I just took 20 steps back. And it was almost like with that awareness that I didn't love myself, I became even more aware that I didn't love myself. So did you have, in the midst of this commitment that you made to yourself and this awareness, did you ever have those experiences where you felt like, not only do I not love myself, it's actually worse than I thought it was?
Yeah, Mary, totally. And I love what you said, like 1 step forward, 2 step back. That's how it feels sometimes. However, and it's normal. I think when you decide to grow, to heal, to whatever you want to call it, you make a step. And in the beginning, you unravel the things that are hidden from your unconscious mind. They're hidden unconsciously. So even though they were always there and actually driving you and triggering you and making you suffer, you weren't really consciously aware of it. So when you open the box, I call it the box of Pandora, right? Like, look, let me look what's actually in that box in Sonia's life that makes her feel so miserable. You see it all clear. And then first it's like, oh my God, right? And it feels actually if it would be worse. It's not. It's just you're more aware of it. And with that awareness, that's also the key to move forward, because then you can do a change. And when we feel we fall back, we actually never really fall back. It's a perception because we hit a deeper level. And I think everyone on the path, everyone knows the feeling of, oh, I've done so much and I'm still struggling with this. And the point in my life when I surrendered that there is no such point where, oh, I'm done, and that issue is gone forever. I've never have to look into something that got triggered. I don't know. Once I surrendered to that and saw it as another layer of the onion that we peel off to go into the jam, and I embraced that, that also gave me a lot of freedom. But it took a long time. It took quite a while to get there. So until then, I think it's okay to feel that way. I had many moments like that, many moments.
Because there's got to be, and I know I felt this way, it sounds like you felt this way, there's some fear with opening that Pandora's box. It's like, oh my gosh, am I going to be overwhelmed?
Yeah, I love that question. And, just fear is always there. And it's like, oh my God. In my experience is, the fear of looking at it is worse than looking at it. The fear of what might be there is bigger than what might be there, because we can handle everything that's there, but how we are conditioned from early on to numb certain things or to dismiss certain things or not being able to express, not learning how to communicate emotions, not learning what it means to love ourselves. All of that after, over decades or years of conditioning, we are so disconnected that we are afraid. We think like, oh my God, I'm opening this box and I'm going to die, right? But that's not the case. It's really, we always call it hugging the ghost, right? So we are so afraid of seeing the ghost and we are doing like, oh my God, oh my God. But then you look at it and you're just like, okay, let me just, let it come in and see what it is. And that's why we need often help, because our protection mechanism is too strong to really face. And the deliciousness of facing it though even though it's scary in the beginning, once you really dare to do it and you break through, even though it's painful sometimes, I'm not going to pretend it's all everything easy and la la lee. However, what's so wonderful and beautiful and freeing is when you break through it and you connect with the essence behind, the essence that was actually blocked from that fear. When you get in touch with that, that's the most beautiful feeling. And I get even goosebumps when I think of that. And so the hard work, right, is so worth it, because nothing is as beautiful as being connected and free from all that stuff that's preventing you from being who you really are.
And we do. I mean, I don't even think we realize how much we allow the fear to really prevent us from being who we're supposed to be.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I'm afraid all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean that I live from that. What I mean, the difference is before in the past, fear was determining what I was doing or how I was feeling. But fear is a very natural part of our life. Just the intensity or the not being in balance or being a victim of it, that makes a difference. Like, I still experience fear, but it just doesn't stop me, or it doesn't make a difference from knowing who I am. Does it make sense? You know, like, yeah. So don't wait until the fear is gone, because you're going to wait forever.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
We're human. Fear is part of the human existence. So it sounds like pretty early on you discovered the energy work piece. Is that how you were able to open the Pandora's box and confront those fears? Like, walk us through how the energy work piece fits into this puzzle.
Yeah, well, in my experience, and it's my experience because it was a particular type of work called essence training, and they do really deep transformational work. So it was a very intensive, over years I did that, and I'm still connected with them. I became a practitioner, a trainer, and all of that. But in the first time, and I remember here's maybe how I can explain it. I was doing a lot of things, but I kind of felt like I was looking for something. I was seeking for the right thing, right? Or something that would really make a shift. So I was going on hope that, and I just kept going. And I met someone, and through him, I discovered that work, and I went to one of those seminars. It was a 5-day seminar, and they do deep chakra work and energy work, and also soul work, connecting to who we really are. And I was really struggling the first few days. Like, I really didn't get it. Like, I was so miserable, Mary. I was so miserable. And one day, one of the teachers took me up in front and worked with me as a demo, and he helped me to open up my solar plexus in a way that I've never felt. I didn't even know what he was doing. I know now what he was doing. And for the first time since I started the journey, I felt, and back then it was like crazy because I never felt it before. Now I feel it often. I felt a spaciousness, a freedom, a feeling of, I don't even find the words, just a feeling of happiness, expansion, and really knowing my space and my worth. And I'm so empowered. I felt so empowered that in that moment I thought, oh my God, this is it, right? So I got a taste of it. And then I continued the work. So that time, because there's so many different energy work, and I think there are so many great modalities and so many great teachers and things. So you have to find something that works for you. What was relevant for me is that they really helped you, and that's what I do, the deep inner work, to really face the things that usually on a conscious level you do not want to face. Like, why do I feel not good enough in the first place? Where did it start? Where does it sit in the system? And where is it still blocked? And to really look at it and reveal the pain, the trauma, and the tears also from the past. Anger, unresolved anger. Like, there's so much in us, right? And we kind of like swallow and want to be nice. And deep inside were miserable. So I don't even know if I answered your question. I kind of like went from one place to the other.
No, I think that's great. I want to go back to something you were touching on about that feeling of opening for the first time, because I think that so many of us, because of our past childhood experiences, it's like we put walls up and we're afraid to allow the healing to take place because we're afraid to allow anything or anyone inside. So were you, when you were at that point, it sounds like those first couple of days of that retreat, it was like you had your walls, like fortress, right? Like you're, and something about that healing was safe enough for you to let the walls down a little bit. Like, is that true?
Yeah, it's partly true. And also it took then some time, obviously, but it was also the skillfulness of the teachers and the approach of also very gentleness, because it's not about, you're cracking. Sometimes you needed some more, your teeth needed tough. It's something really needs to break. But I guess it was also that being in a safe space, what you said, like you being in a safe space for opening to occur, and then also having someone that was holding the space for me so lovingly, and that allowed me to trust enough so that he could go deeper, so that I could actually reach a place of letting go and open up to experience something. And that gave me a taste, because that was not like a quick fix. That was just the taste that I needed for me to really dive deeper into it.
So for our audience who's watching us and going, I've had those walls up for 50 years, 60 years, right? Whatever. Why would I want to take them down? We've heard some about your past. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you are now and why? I mean, you and I both preach self-love and self-care, but a lot of people, they're not on the bandwagon yet. So why is this so important? Why do we need to love ourselves and take care of ourselves? Like, why does that matter so much?
And that's a great question, Mary. And from my perspective is that self-love is the foundation to most everything. And I want to, dissect self-love a little bit, what that does mean for me. Because, self-love is obviously self-love, but everybody might have a different approach to it. And there are actually a lot of limiting beliefs about, self-love is selfish. Self-love is, only being selfish, taking care. So I think that's all BS out there. However, it's really to understand, what does it mean to love yourself? And to love yourself means that you are in touch with the essence of who you truly are, because you are not your inner critic. You are not your emotions. You're not your shame. You're not your trauma. You are not even the mistakes from the past. There's an essence, I call it, you are a soul, and you have a beautiful essence. We are all divine and energy beings living in this body, living in this planet, on this planet. And to love yourself means that you are in touch with that essence, and that you see yourself for who you really are. And when you do that, you cannot not love yourself, because we are all beautiful. We are all lovable. And just felt it for a moment, right? And when you don't feel that way, let's say you feel you judge yourself, or you don't feel good enough, you're insecure, you have those walls, everything you look out is filtered by it. Relationship, work, money, career, health. So I could bet that any problem you present, if we dissect down, at some point comes to a lack of self-worth, lack of connection to who you really are, and a lack of to a higher meaning or purpose, regardless of what it is. And so I think that this world, like and you and I are so passionate about this. Like, imagine for a moment, everyone on this planet would love themselves just a little bit more. Just a little. I'm not saying love yourself, have the dimension, just a little bit more. Because when you love yourself, you don't harm anyone, because you don't harm yourself anymore. I truly believe that self-love is the cure to inner peace and outer peace. And when I say that, it really even touches me deeply, because it's so obvious for me now, right? But it's just the foundation for true joy, love, connection. And when you love yourself, you can take care of others so much better anyway. So it's not about true self-love. And I don't even think that selfish is a bad word. I don't have any, everybody's selfish. I mean, everybody's selfish. Of course we are all selfish, we have to survive. But it's taking care of yourself, loving yourself, putting yourself important enough and owning your worth. Because when you do that, you do want to give. You do want to help. You're connected with everything. You don't want to keep it for yourself, right? And so to really heal the world, I think, is healing us internally and making a contribution in the world. And I totally forgot the question, but that's where I'm at right now. Totally.
I actually want to follow up on something you said, because you were talking about your definition of self-love. And for me, like, it was a big light bulb moment when I heard a definition of self-love that had the word unconditional in it. And that's really what you were describing, is that no matter what, you are a person of worth. You are a person of value. You said something about, like, it doesn't matter what's happened in the past, doesn't matter. You are a being that is here, born of love, in love, to love, and no conditions. And I think when I first learned that several years ago, when I was on my healing journey, that was like such a light bulb moment for me, because I was like, you mean my worth and my love isn't based on what I'm doing for other people? Like, that was such, like, really?
Yeah, and that's great. Like, the word unconditional is so funny for us human beings anyway. So in a way, like two directions to go here. First off, I totally agree with you. Loving yourself, honoring yourself, respecting yourself, appreciating yourself, and all of that means you embrace everything of you. Because we have and it's very much conditioned from society and generations that need to be perfect. And to do a certain way, look a certain way, and we don't want anyone to see our flaws and what's not so great about us. And by hiding is when we are also not connected. So it's really embracing everything. Everybody is a bitch sometimes. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. I mean, I'm not graceful all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being like everyone else. And every time people put me on a pedestal, it's like, no, don't put me there. Because I don't want to be there. Yes, I do work on myself, and I always want to become better. I always want to connect higher. Like, that's part of it, but it's loving yourself even when you, let's say, fall back. I used to have a really bad eating thing, like with binging, overeating, like really bad. I hated myself. And it took me many years to really come into a balance with that. And it can happen that life throws me something really challenging, and my system goes back to it. So I might overeat a day or whatever. In the past, I would have judged me and oh my God, the shame. And loving yourself means to also really have compassion and understanding for why you do certain things. In that moment when I was doing that, that was just the only thing I knew to do, to numb the pain. And instead of me judging it now and putting even more pain on it, I see it, okay, what would I say to a friend? Like, man, she's so in pain and she's stuffing herself because she can't handle it. What does she need? So, and that's what I mean is the difference. It doesn't mean that I love 24/7 everything, 100%, but I'm okay with that. That's self-love. I'm not perfect, but I think the difference is this. When you're connected to something deeper, to something higher, for me, it's the soul, like the blueprint of my true self. No matter what else is going on, I can accept it for being human. That makes sense.
Yeah, you have a divine, and I believe that too. We all have a divine purpose. We're all here for a reason. And part of shining your light is going through the healing and going through the very act of being a human being in a body, knowing that there is no such thing as perfect, but we are going to have setbacks and struggles, but that's what helps us to grow. And that's what, like you said earlier, that's what helps us to deepen that dive and do even more profound healing work than we would have had we not gone through that. And I don't even like to use the word struggle, but through that, whatever it was that threw us for a loop and reminded us, oh yeah, I'm human.
I love what you just said, and I want to just, because I just spoke to someone about the same thing with the struggle, and she was like, oh no, I don't want to focus on struggle. It's like, struggle is not a bad thing if you use it. Struggle for me is like you hit a friction point, you hit a block, you're struggling with something. If you stay stuck with it and you're all a victim and blaming, and that's not a good thing. However, we grow through friction and getting stretched, getting out of our comfort zone, and struggling is part of it. And if you can see it that way without judgment even of that at some points you're struggling because you are hitting a block. And when you use that, it's when you can get a next breakthrough.
It's a growth edge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love that, you've heard it 1,000 times for sure. It's like, before every breakthrough, there's a breakdown, right? So you don't grow by just la la la. You grow by facing the stuff that's blocking you, because that's how we are meant to really break free.
Yeah. So for our viewers that are watching today and they're like, okay, I'm ready. Where do I start? I know you have a fabulous free gift for us. So I would love if you would share with that.
Yes. And that's a fantastic start for the journey. And even if you're already on the journey, and even if you're on the journey for years, I have a guided self-love meditation called My Gift of Love. And that meditation carries a certain frequency, a higher frequency of love. It starts with a poem called My Gift of Love that I actually got channeled, and it carries a really beautiful energy. And then it's a guide, it's about 20 minutes. And it's one of my clients' most favorite meditations, and the results are amazing. My recommendation is to do the meditation for 21 days in a row, no matter what. And it doesn't matter if it feels good, or if you make you cry, or if you stay consistent and you get back to it day after day, and you tap into that energy, you will feel a shift. And I would also highly recommend to do it sitting in a nice vertical position, because everything I do is energy based. So it does carry a certain vibration, and it has a certain movement. So you go in and then you go up, and then you actually let it down again. And it's a wonderful way to start your day, or to start loving yourself a little bit more.
And I love that you suggested the practice piece, that you do it for, and not to beat yourself up if you miss a day, but that you do it for long enough that it becomes a practice, because self-love is not just a thing. It really is a daily practice, where even you and I both as coaches that teach this, it's like some days we still struggle. We're human. And to have these tools in place, like your meditation, where, okay, all right, I know what to do here. There's this practice piece. So I love that you've shared the meditation along with really the reality of, and it's not just a one and done. Like, you actually need to do the work and do the work and do the work and keep coming back to that place.
And Mary, just to emphasize what you just said, and I love it, when I meditate every day now, I've done it for many years. It's not like it's unnegotiable for me. I don't think I would even want to go out the house without it. It's like for me brushing my teeth, right? But it took me a long time to get there. However, I have days that I wake up and like something is off, and I really feel like, oh, it's not going so well today. And I struggle to sit in silence. It doesn't happen often, but it does. I listen to the same meditation myself. And it really helps, like really seriously. And I was laugh, and it's like, I'm on my journey for something. It's like, that's a really good meditation. Because, it was also inspired. It was not only me, it was really coming from a higher place. So just do something, like whatever helps you to shift your energy and get a little bit more in touch with a loving place within yourself.
And I love that you and I both share a practice of starting our day with a self-loving practice. I love the idea, because I truly believe, and I can't remember who said this, how you start your day is how you live your life.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
So even if you don't have 20 minutes, right, to just start your day with 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes of doing a little bit of the meditation or doing just some positive something, do something.
Yeah. And I love just that you said that. And I think maybe Tony Robbins said that at some point, but and he said, like, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And I agree. Like, if you don't have 10 minutes for yourself, you seriously have a problem. Like, seriously. Like, out of 24 hours a day, and we come up with so many excuses. I don't have time. I have kids. I have a dog. I have a laptop. Whatever. You know, like, no. 10 at least. You know, of course, I would say 10 more, but 10 minutes a day just for your quality time. Is it meditation? Is it breathing? Is it yoga? It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. Start your day because it sets the tone. Totally agree with you, Mary.
Yeah. And I love 10 minutes. I mean, if you don't have, like you said, I mean, and we're not trying to criticize people who are like, I'm so busy. It's just, I mean, we both, as coaches, we've heard and we've given ourselves every excuse in the book.
I know. Hey, I'm not sharing anything that does not come from my own experience. Yeah. And there's no judgment whatsoever. However, we want to inspire them and also break some of those wrong beliefs that I don't have time. That doesn't exist. Everybody has time. It's how you choose to do it.
You make the time.
Yeah. So you make the time. And you can start with 1 minute. I don't care. Like, as long as you do something, I'm happy. just do it.
Start where you are. And if it's, you know, and I've had clients who they started taking more frequent bathroom breaks because that was the only time they felt like they could get to themselves. Or they go eat lunch in their car and they spend 5 minutes meditating while they're in their car, or when their kids go to bed, and they spend the last 10 minutes of their day, 20 minutes doing a guided meditation. Start with what you have. But I think, you know, talking about energy work, I think that you're sending yourself a powerful message when you say to yourself, I am worth spending 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day on. And that was a big, powerful shift when I could say that to myself. I'm actually worth this. I deserve this.
Exactly. Absolutely right. I totally agree with you, Mary.
Any last words that are bubbling up that you want to share with our viewers before we close for today?
I just want to say, no matter where you are on your journey, there's always a way. And you are loved and supported if you feel it or not. There is existence in life itself with people around you, and start focusing on the beautiful things that you have and who is there that supports you. And no matter how dark it is, if it's dark in your place where you live right now, there's always a way, and there's always a light, because you are light. And you might be blind at the moment because you haven't found the switch yet, but it's just because you can't see it right now, but it's there. So just trust that the switch is there.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I would thank you so much, Sonia, for being here with us today. You know, I would love for all of our viewers, download Sonia's free gift. The link is right below us. And if you would go and post your aha moments, your insights in our Facebook group, and let us know how we as sisters on this journey we call life can help and support you in your own reclaiming of self.
Thank you so much, Mary. It was a pleasure. Much love to you. And for everyone who's watching this.
Much love. Much, much love. I will see you next time on another episode of The Well-Nourished Goddess. Bye for now.